All right, we're back again. Hopefully this is the last time we have to do a two-part stream.
Yeah, so
No,
we're
we
back.
didn't multiply times 2. We are doing a part 2.
Yeah, that's exactly it. There's so much news to talk about. We had to split up.
And
So
yeah, so we're going to try to get through this before all your games kick off. Even though this time around we're not going to be talking about the football news. Today it's all baseball, all basketball, and we start with more controversy going on in terms of the Justin Turner COVID situation. That, first of all, we do have a ruling from Major League Baseball. We have a statement from them, a statement from Justin Turner, and then news, which kind of was just a kick in the dick.
Before we go, let's talk about what we're going to talk about. So we have the Dodger news. We have the Mets ownership news. We have cheating. We have cheating managers back in the fold.
We have a start date for the NBA.
We have a start date for the NBA. But as you said, let's start with Justin Turner and Major League Baseball. And basically, this is the crap on Rob Manfred part of the show.
that's
right?
probably your favorite time of day, Nick.
It is my favorite time because, again, as I look at the statements that if you go to our Twitter account at ATB Sports, we did post the statement as soon as it came out. And I'll try to read portions of it because it's long.
Yeah,
But
so let's first of all, context is necessary. Let's give them a little bit of a recap just in case you
Okay.
didn't know.
So
Okay.
Justin Turner, during the World Series, game number 6, the clincher, a result for his test the previous day comes back during the second inning, and it was originally reported to be, what was
Negative.
the term? No, it wasn't that it was negative.
inconclusive.
Inconclusive.
Inconclusive, yes.
And that was per Jeff Passan of ESPN. I said later was revealed by Ken Rosenthal, ironically of Fox.
Exclusive report after the game.
Right, that first test was actually a positive. Then the tests that they had taken that day of the World Series Game 6 come back in the 6th or 7th inning, and that is also a positive. So it is a confirmed positive for Justin Turner, and during that game, during the 6th or 7th inning, he gets pulled from the game. Everyone wonders why, everybody fears, because that news of the COVID tests don't come out until after the game. During the World Series celebration, Justin Turner, after being isolated in an area in the ballpark, I think in the dugout somewhere, clubhouse.
No, he was like far back in the clubhouse.
Far back in the clubhouse. He comes out, wearing a mask and everything, and he was told, not to come on the field during the celebration, and Turner adamantly refused.
Well, MLB security, or as Nick would use the word, cronies, could not keep Justin Turner inside the clubhouse. All of a sudden, he's out on the field celebrating. And to add one part to that statement, Tom, in the team photo, he actually takes the mask off while they're doing the team photo. And if you want to make it worse,
they're all touching the trophy.
Oh, I'm not even talking about that. Dave Roberts, who he's sitting next to, cancer survivor.
So, again, I feel it important to mention that this was not a jailbreak situation, in that Justin Turner escaped quarantine. They asked him to stay on the field, and he said no.
Well, you mean they asked him to stay in the clubhouse?
They asked him to stay off the field, which is what I meant to say, in the clubhouse, and he said no. And back he was, hugging everybody, kissing everybody, probably throwing a couple of licks on the trophy somehow.
Probably. Well, everyone touched the trophy.
I mean, yeah, but if he's licking it. I mean,
he kissed his wife, who I think did she end up getting testing positive?
I don't know.
We don't know.
I don't know.
But
I don't want to go make that wrong claim.
And as far as we know, in the immediate aftermath, I don't think the Dodgers or the Rays made any announcement of any positive tests.
I thought there was one positive.
A Rays family member, not somebody from the Rays organization, a family person.
But before we get to today's updated portion of the story, let's go to the statements, because I sent a message to both you guys that I was fuming.
I'd say, which part of Manfred's statement are you talking about?
Oh, I think the whole thing is ridiculous. But I let's start from the beginning. And by the way, I love how Major League Baseball makes their statements seem so, I don't know, what's the word? Politically correct is the way I would
I was going to go with annunciatory. Like, it's a big deal. It's like you need the trumpets and everything.
Yeah. Oh, no, I wasn't even talking about that. Like, it's very generic. That's the word I was going for.
And it was very anodyne, very neutered, very...
Like, they're not going to take a side. They're just going to go right down the middle and say what happened, and they're not going to do what they need to do. So the statement, so I love this. So did you know that his full name, Robert D. Manfred Jr., by the way?
Take 3 guesses about what the D stands for.
Oh, no.
Oh, good one, Nick. I like that one. But so basically, the commissioner comes out. The basic facts are well known. Justin Turner was removed from the game and directed to isolate after a positive test for COVID-19. After the game concluded, Mr. Turner, ooh, formal, left isolation and joined the on-field celebration. As is often the case, our investigation revealed additional relevant information that while not exonerating Mr. Turner from responsibility for his conduct, it helps to put into context why he chose to leave the isolation room and return to the field. All right, time out. So what? Wait a minute. So they understood why he chose to leave the isolation room?
There's more to the statement. Can I resume it?
Yeah, go.
Okay, first, Mr. Turner's teammates actively encouraged him to leave the isolation room and return to the field for a photograph.
What? His teammate, so now they're blaming it on the teammates.
Wait. Many teammates felt that they already had been exposed to Mr. Turner and were prepared to tolerate the additional risk.
What? Nick, help, please.
I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, keep going.
Second, Mr. Turner believes that he received permission from at least one Dodgers employee to return to the field to participate in the photograph. Although Mr. Turner's belief may have been the product of a miscommunication, at least 2 Dodgers employees said nothing to Mr. Turner as he made his way to the field, which they admitted may have created the impression that his conduct was excessive.
Wait, time out. Miscommunication between being isolated for COVID and coming back on the field? Excuse me?
Okay, this is not when you accidentally butt dial somebody. This is a deadly pandemic that you're dealing with. So I think people's lives and their health should really take precedent over that.
Third, during the somewhat chaotic situation on the field, Mr. Turner was incorrectly told by an unidentified person that other players had tested positive, creating the impression in Mr. Turner's mind that he was being singled out for isolation.
Wait, whoa.
How do you make that mistake?
What in God's name does that have to do with anything?
Hold on. Sound the alarm bells. I need something here because, wait a minute. Now he was told there were other COVID positives?
I know.
I guess to assuage his guilt, to make him think that, other people were positive, I guess.
Wait a minute.
How are you throwing other people under the bus to save him?
Oh, well, hang on. There's more. Finally, and this is something that's being talked about in the media circles, as you guys know, this statement here. Finally, Major League Baseball could have handled the situation more effectively. For example, in retrospect, a security person should have been assigned to monitor Mr. Turner when he was asked to isolate, and Mr. Turner should have been transported from the stadium to the hotel more promptly.
Well, thank you, Captain Obvious. It took Rob Manfred a statement after the shit hit the fan to finally say it, because Rob Manfred has a history of making the correct situational choice after the situation happened.
He covers his own ass faster than a new crisp pair of blue jeans.
So in order to wrap things up on here, he basically says, we're sorry. Mr. Turner is sorry. We all could have handled the situation better. We're going to set an example. No punishment for Mr. Turner or the Dodgers.
Are you
kidding? And there we go to the operative imperative point. Because the only thing that you can think of is essentially the equivalent of shrug emoji. That's all you've got. And I've said on the show last week that I understand why Justin Turner did it. I understand it. I get it. but you are endangering the lives of every single one around you, whether you are asymptomatic or not. In fact, you can spread it easier if you are asymptomatic.
I think they missed a funny opportunity that they could have had everybody on the field, for the team photo, and Justin Turner is like all the way in the outfield somewhere.
Just Photoshop him in. But
wait a minute. We're missing part of this here, which is the Dodgers and Major League Baseball.
Major League Baseball, most of all, they share the lines. They have the lines.
I think they had the lines in.
Well,
I agree.
What I was going to say is the Dodgers and Major League Baseball totally broke MLB COVID-19 protocol.
They themselves set. When
Major League Baseball and the Players Association were coming up with an agreement, if you go back and look at our streams and our podcast, you will see that we discussed when they were trying to come to an agreement on the amount of games, the rules for COVID-19 were strict that said protocol has to be followed.
And codified and agreed to in triplicate. Again, I don't blame Justin Turner as much as I blame MLB tossing out its own regulations at the slightest bit of inconvenience.
And you're forgetting something, guys. MLBPA also agreed to that, and MLBPA had a role in this investigation working with Major League Baseball. So
I just have a problem because, and this is where I'm going to say it, and I usually say it once an episode, fire Rob Manfred. This is his fault.
You practically turned that into a mantra, Nick, but
tell me why he didn't do anything.
Because, again, it would have been a bad look
there's something
for him, and he does not want to does not want to look bad.
There's something that in these statements and everything and these reports that we still don't know, gentlemen. There was we said this on yesterday's stream, Major League, when we were comparing the MLB and NFL, the MLB had not had a positive case for at least 2 months.
And they were patting themselves on the back for that.
And all of a sudden, in the final game of the season, Turner ends up positive. We still don't know how he ended up positive. Was there a break in protocol? Did he get in contact with somebody sick in the bubble?
It's funny how MLB hasn't said that, how a major breach of their own bubble happened.
The bubble popped. That's what we could say at this point. But
then what the hell are you enforcing?
But I don't know. But what I was going to say, if Justin Turner, like Tom and I did, and if you go check out our live stream after the Dodgers won the World Series, we talked about this. How the heck, if he was positive with that first test that reportedly was inconclusive first, but Ken Rosenthal confirmed that first test was positive before the game, he should have never played.
Should have not set foot on the
Why
field.
was he not pulled in the second inning then?
No, but he should have never. But it should have never made it to that point.
Should have never made it to that point.
That's the problem.
I guess you could argue because it was so early in the game could have been postponed or canceled.
The game could have been postponed, but again, Manfred wanted to avoid postponement.
I know, because the TV contracts for one.
No, but
TV contracts, and it's money in his pocket. And what did I say last episode? When money is at stake, human lives don't matter to these vultures.
I'll finish it off on this point. Due to the way protocols were set up, as soon as the positive came out, the game should have stopped and should have been postponed. That's what should have happened.
I was going to say, if they're lucky, I'm not in charge, man. You know what I would do for next season if we're still in COVID protocols? And
you're going to be in COVID protocols still.
Right. I say, you know what my thing would be? You discover to break protocol one time, you're done.
You can't play for the season. You're done for the season.
And no pay.
Oh, I'm with you on that one.
You get shot out of the stadium via catapult.
Right.
And you got to hit them. You got to, in Major League Baseball,
the way to hit them in the wallet.
You got to hit them in the wallet. Right. All right. What's next on our MLB list here?
All right.
Speaking of the wallet.
Speaking of the wallet. Speaking of the wallet. Speaking of money. Guys, we have had a change of ownership across town. It's a miracle.
Good Lord.
Happened. The Wilpons have sold the New York Mets.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
And by the way, Steve Cohen, on his first day on the job,
fires Brody Van Wagenen.
Cleans house.
It's not just Brody. It's Omar and it's all the other guys who for some reason felt
Allard
like
Baird, Adam Guttridge, and Jared Banner.
it's unbelievable to me
And
that
promotes Sandy Alderson to team president.
well, we knew that was going to
He
happen.
did what?
Yeah, Sandy
Alderson's
Alderson is the new.
president.
He did what?
He's the new president of operations. So,
Well, it's nice to know at least some part of the Mets is going to stay the same.
but you know what? I'm happy for the Mets, even though we're all Yankees fans on this show. The Mets.
Yes, I want to see the Mets act like a major market team that they are.
No, let me put it to you this way. I want competence in my baseball.
Yes, I want competence in my New York baseball. I want both New York teams to be good. I want to see the Mets win the division.
I want another Subway Series World Series.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's better for ratings when both New York teams are where they need to be and they're rivaling and not crapping on each other.
Look over at the NFL with the Giants and Jets and see how that's playing out.
Yeah, and look, I mean, this move was not unexpected, right, gentlemen? I mean,
It wasn't unexpected, no.
We were pretty.
And
Yeah,
we had all the drama of the city. We had all the drama of potentially A-Rod getting it.
A-Rod and J-Lo.
Yeah.
By the way,
So I guess that whole conspiracy theory was just a mountain of bullplop, huh?
Oh, from
Yes.
Vaccaro.
Yeah.
the one thing we need to mention also that you put in this breaking report, Jeff Wilpon will no longer serve as the COO.
The Wilpons are
course,
out.
he's pretty much
1,000%.
No, but in the original agreement, he was going to stay on. Now they took that away as well.
He is gone. I believe SNY also is in Steve Cohen's
It is, yeah.
possession.
And the minor league teams. And the minor league teams
And
as
the
well.
minor league teams. Andrew Cohen, who has no relation to Steve.
He was on the board.
Right. He will be the Mets vice chairman. He still will have his seat on the board of directors. And Steve Cohen's wife, Alex, will and Andrew Cohen will own small ownership stakes in the Mets as well.
I suppose we can talk a little bit more about what the Mets might do now that Steve Cohen owns
Spending
them.
spree.
When we get a little closer to free agency, well, I suspect we'll be able to talk about that more. But the first step is hiring a good GM.
Right. Well, I was going to say, first of all, this report of Stroman being offered the qualifying offer.
He's not going to take it. He's not going to take it.
Do you think, though, that would be more than where he'd earn?
The reports already have come out and said that he's probably going to decline it.
Is it already said that the Mets know how much money they're going to be working with this offseason?
Steve Cohen said he's going to go out and spend whatever it takes.
Right. Remember, there's no salary cap in baseball. So
right. But
but I'm sure.
The one advantage he's going to have is he's a new owner with plenty of money in a time where baseball owners have lost money on the last season. So
you have to remember the guy is worth like $13 billion for crying out
I'm just
loud.
saying he's not operating with losses. He's a fresh owner.
He's the new Steinbrenner. He's the new Steinbrenner.
He could be. I don't know.
Let's not go there, folks. I mean,
let's not go there yet. But I'm just saying that Stroman thing about being offered actually going out and offering Stroman the $18 million. I think that was a statement that I'm not going to be afraid to spend money on this team.
I don't think Stroman's going to take it. I mean,
that's not my point, Nick.
Oh no, I know.
My point is that they're not.
Because it's a mission statement.
It's a mission statement.
If this was the Wilpon, Stroman would not get that qualifying offer.
Yeah, it's a
agreed.
Of intent.
He would have told Stroman, "Take a walk. You were injured. We don't need you."
Well, you know what? Again, in terms of what they need, the most pressing need right now, get a competent GM.
Right.
And I don't mean Jeff Lunau.
I know Nick and I talked about that in one episode, actually, but. But it's just crazy to me that the Mets finally will be able to compete in the major market. We're going to see guys like JT Realmuto, who's in the free agent catchers market, worth like $200 million. By the way,
on wood, they'll be able to compete.
He's the free agent catch.
By the way, I wouldn't spend $200 million on him, but that's
neither would I.
Neither would I. No way he's worth that. No way.
You have guys like Trevor Bauer, who's going to be out there on the market. I don't know if I'm the Mets, I want him in New York either. But I'm even saying that as a Yankee fan, I wouldn't want him in a Yankee uniform because I don't know how he's going to be.
I'd consider it.
I think they have no choice but to considering how bad the pitching is in New York.
The problem is he only wants 1-year deals.
Okay.
Okay. Hey, you know
Okay.
what? Hey, you know what? We did that with Hiroki Kuroda. There's a rumor we might do that with Masahiro Tanaka. Why not?
1 year.
I mean-
Everybody gets a 1 year deal. It's not the size of the contract. It's the length of the contract that the Yankees are sticklers on.
Well, due to the COVID situation, no one's really getting a long-term deal anyway.
Yeah, which leads me to my next point. COVID is definitely going to impact how much Steve Cohen can do right away.
Well, right,
I don't
because of
think you're going to start to see this pay dividends for a couple of seasons.
While, yes, remember what I just said, he is not the other owners who are all operating off of losses from this season. He has fresh money. He is going to be willing. I'm sure he's going to be willing to spend a lot more than other owners are going to be willing to spend.
Winning
Right.
the offseason and winning the regular season are two different things, though.
That's true, too. That's true.
Again, it all comes down to who can you hire that can do the job.
the one thing I'll leave off on this topic is the Mets have to make a statement on in this offseason. They are expected to spend. They need to replenish. They have good young prospects and stars. They have Rosario. They have the guys that they need, but they need to maybe go out and get George Springer would be a fit there.
Right. I'd say there is a rumor of Springer going to the Mets, but I was going to just end on this. You know, another New York sports reference. Over in Manhattan in the Rangers, everyone was talking about how they won the draft, but in free agency, they whiffed really bad. Don't do that. In free agency, you need to, in this free agency period, the Mets need to, like you said, make a statement.
Right, exactly.
I'd say I think the offering of $18 million qualifying offer to Stroman, whether he takes it or not, I think that was a statement in itself that he's not going to be afraid to spend the money. But, you know, let's see where else he goes in this offseason.
Exactly.
All right. One last baseball thing here. Speaking of returns, Alex Cora is officially back. And
so cheater number 2 is in the
yes, and the Red Sox are welcoming him back with open arms.
You remember how they say cheaters never prosper?
Yeah.
I think they do. Because that seems to me like a
Major League at least in Major League
prospering.
Baseball. At least in Major League Baseball they do.
Well, you know what? They just get off with a 1-year suspension and nothing ever happens.
Well,
because, you know, Kennesaw Mountain Landis has been dead for how long?
wow. That's an old dated reference right there. But what I was going to say,
You kidding? I feel decades older just saying it.
I know, but I agree with Nick in that Kennesaw Landis would have actually done something in this manner.
right?
I'm thinking something along the lines of public whipping or drawing and quartering.
No, but what I was going to say is, wow, Major League Baseball is kind of up there with, I don't know, Rob Manfred is up there with Roger Goodell. And like,
again, as I said yesterday's episode with Goodell, see no evil, hear no evil, speak
I
no
didn't
evil.
see it. It didn't happen. Look at me. I'm blind. I just, you know what? Look, the final insult, it was bad enough that AJ Hinch gets to rehabilitate his reputation by saying, "I'm sorry, I screwed up. Now I'm gonna try and see."
Yeah,
if
but
I
at the very,
can
but at the,
Tiger
but
by
at the,
cheating."
but at the very least, he's been relegated to Detroit.
I was going to
which is
say,
still-
Again, that's the baseball equivalent of Siberia. So
I was
guess
going to say that's the karma. He gets to be a manager of a Tigers team with an
that's
aging
still
Miguel
rebuilding.
Cabrera.
That's still rebuilding.
it's a monkey's paw thing. He gets to manage again,
But you get to do it for
you
a
gotta-
rebuilding team and not a championship team.
But you gotta deal with Miguel Cabrera's $80 bazillion contract.
You mean like the 4 years left and the $35 million plus per year that he's going to make?
The ultimate insult would be Mr. Shaggy Defense Jeff Lunau. Him getting
It's going to happen.
Him getting the Open Angels gig. That would be this final
Oh
insult.
my God, it might actually happen too.
I feel bad for Ron Renicky though. I mean, he tried the best he could.
Did you see that Sam Fold was the other guy that they were looking at to manage the Red Sox?
Why?
Apparently, he was a really good candidate when they interviewed him, apparently.
Again,
Okay, so
why?
enlighten me. Who's Sam Fold again?
Wasn't he like the former Rays outfielder or something?
Oh yeah.
Didn't-
Yeah.
And didn't you have like a... I'm trying to look it up. I don't want to say it.
So I'm guessing they're thinking they could work some kind of Rocco Baldelli magic.
In that sense, yeah, because he's the manager of...
Yeah,
Tried
he
to do
put,
with
yes,
Carlos
there's a former outfielder for the Cubs, Rays, Athletics, and Twins.
I guess they were thinking maybe they could do with what the Mets tried to do with Carlos Beltran.
I was trying to look up where Fold is now. He is currently the Major League Player Information Coordinator for the Phillies.
Damn.
So where does this leave us? So Cora pretty much goes back to exactly where he left off at the end of 28.
Right.
Oh, so you mean cheating?
Right. But
Essentially.
I was going to say, but, in the terms of another monkey paw situation, are the Red Sox going to be as good as they were under Cora, considering that they just let Mookie go to LA and win a championship?
No Price, who else?
No Price, no Mookie.
No hope.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going to have to cheat just to get back to where they were.
Don't give them ideas. Please, they're gonna work out a system of cheating that's so intricate. I swear to God, it's gonna be like a system of levers and pulleys.
All right, so now let's move on from baseball.
Okay, 1 flag if it's a ball, 2 flags if it's a curveball.
That reminds me.
Don't wave the flag. That means he's not gonna throw anything.
Do you remember the rumor at U.S. Cellular Field? I don't know if it's called U.S. Cellular Field anymore. The White Sox Stadium,
right?
With the rainbow pinwheels at the top, and
there was a whole thing about that too.
That was the rumor that they were using, like they would use color code to say what each pitch was. They would have somebody who was doing that, and that's where that came from.
What's next? A giant etch a sketch?
Maybe. Who knows?
All right, now let's move on quickly, guys, to basketball. Some basketball news, guys. It's happening. December 22nd. We have a season.
So we have a firm start date, and it's like one of those hockey off seasons. It's like you just left and now you're back.
Right. 70 days. 70 days.
God, the sport leaves like Irish relatives. Not at all.
Well, and they get addicted, so it makes sense to Irish culture. So.
Yeah, sure. Now a bunch of Irish people are going to get married.
But what I was going to say is, so we agreed to a 72-game season. I'm trying to go back.
I know. I'm trying to look up all the information, but basically it will start on December 22nd. The NBA will get its beloved Christmas Day games.
We knew that they were going to do that. They were arguing that forever.
Adam Silver was going to gnaw his own arms off before that happened. You do not take away those Christmas Day games from Adam Silver, because he will come back and burn your house down.
So here it is. So the NBPA player rep, this is from Adrian Wojnarowski, ESPN. The vote was completed, approving a December 22nd start, 72-game regular season, and then they were finishing the financial terms on the amended CBA. And then, according to Shams Sharina, who is the Stadium and the Athletic, said that the NBA and the NBPA are discussing a minimum of 2% annual growth in the salary cap and luxury tax for the duration of the collective bargaining agreement, and the cap is expected to be $109 million this offseason.
Which is higher than it was.
Higher than it was, yeah.
The NBA draft, as was before, will take place on November 18th. Are there any details as to when free agency will be starting? Because the training camp is going to start December 1st, as we first reported on this.
I think it was just ASAP as soon as they can find a date. I don't think they had a date for free agency as of yet. But it has to be before December 1st, obviously.
Did they mention anything about bubbles?
No bubbles. They're going back to stadiums, and I think they're going 25 to 50% capacity.
25 to 50% capacity. I don't have the details. I just lost them.
You better use that rapid test.
I was going to say, there will be testing in the arenas. All fans must wear masks, and obviously because of the shorter percentages of fans, social distancing measures must be in place.
Well, you'll have the same rules. So, like, if you have food and drink, I guess you pull the mask down. You can eat the food and drink the drink, whatever. And then when you're not, put the mask back up.
What the social distancing measures are.
You'll probably have 4 or 5 seats between each person.
Yeah. Conceptually, supposed to prevent.
The thing I don't get.
But remember, guys, that's also depends on what's going on, on the state levels, because certain states might have this different,
Yeah,
rules
they do.
I think they're using the suites also as social distancing.
Yeah, the suites will be used as social distancing.
Depending on what happens in January, I mean, if we get a national mandate, because, we're going to have an incoming administration. Again, there's a lot up in the air, so we're not really sure.
I was going to say, I think the NBA is going to, I think it even said in the report, by mid-July at the most, get to end the season, because because of the Olympics. Now, obviously, we don't know what the Olympics is going to be, but I think the NBA wants to have that plan in place in case that there is an Olympic Games.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be an Olympics, just to be quite honest with you.
I don't think so either.
Players were none too happy about this, right?
Correct. Now that's the thing. That's correct. The players were not happy, but the player union representatives. Remember when I said that the MLB situation from this season affected here? Here it is again, where the player union representatives are talking about the deal, but the players themselves are not happy, it seems, if you correct me if I'm wrong on this, Nick, with their own union.
Well,
so who are these Peckerwoods representing if not the players?
Well, what's a little bit controversial in the sense is that the player reps obviously represent each team, but a lot of times you're going to get guys of the different teams that are not going to agree on certain aspects.
Kind of like an elected delegate.
In that sense. But what we're missing here, and I was going to bring it up a minute ago, is how is the annual growth in the salary cap and the luxury tax going up when there were no fan gate tickets coming in?
You have MLB,
I guess they wanted to invest what they got in the TV contracts.
Maybe.
Yeah, but there was no money to be made. So how can TV contract money really be?
Was there money to be made? Do you know that? Of course, this is all a relative term because the NBA should not be crying poverty when they're a multi-billion-dollar organization.
Well, hold on. Time out. I understand that these are big conglomerate companies, but the NBA, due to the bubble situation, lost $150 million over what they could have made because they were protecting everybody.
A drop in the bucket in terms of what they're worth.
Right, but at the same time,
what they're worth.
Well, I was going to say, are the NBA teams worth as much as, say, their MLB counterparts?
I think MLB has a little.
I think certain organizations, the Lakers, the Knicks, but I mean, who really gives a crap about the Knicks?
Yeah.
Right. Well, obviously, in every professional sport,
that's like paying $400 for a Big Mac.
No, but like in every professional sport, obviously you have your top markets: New York, LA, Philadelphia, Chicago, Boston. Obviously, those are going to be your top.
Okay, but let me put it to you this way: for the small market teams who would take
the smaller market teams aren't screwed.
Right. I was going to say, let me ask. Say, let's take Denver for example. Are the Denver Nuggets worth as much or even more than, say, the Colorado Rockies?
I mean,
the Nuggets.
I really don't know.
The Nuggets are a specialty situation because they have actually been climbing up the ranks and playing better, so they're getting more national attention as opposed.
Then what about, say, the Utah Jazz?
It depends on what's popular in the Denver area. I mean, if you can get fans to tune in, and not even have to show up at the games. If you can get fans' eyeballs on your team, the value increases.
Also,
so it's really dependent on that.
Also, the NBA is more of a national product than Major League Baseball is. MLB has more local revenue, local contract deals. The NBA is more of the national platform. So you're going to get each team on ESPN and TNT. They're going to be on.
We would not have that kind of arrangement with MLB.
I'll say plus the fact that the NBA, we've repeated over and over again, is the player-driven organization as compared to all these other different leagues.
And you're going to see
there's more money to be made in that.
There's more money to be made, but you're also going to see the BLM is going to come back this coming season. They're going to do movements again just because that's how they are. You're going to see civil unrest. You're going to see it all come back because that's the only way that the players would agree to come back and play.
The player motivations for
you want to make money, you gotta listen to what the players say. It's their right.
In Major League Baseball, the owners are kind of the tract to what goes on in the league. In the NBA, like you said, it's the opposite.
I'd say for the NBA, it's the opposite. For the NFL,
it's a player-driven league, so therefore the players will do what they want.
And the NFL, it's the shield.
I mean, in the sense, and I'm only bringing it up just to make a point, LeBron yesterday put up his tweets about the new incoming presidential office. In Major League Baseball, if that was done, Rob Manfred would have been all over whatever player did that. In the NBA, Adam Silver sees that LeBron and company are so powerful that if he were to mandate against them, he would look bad if he came after them for that.
And there's limits to how progressive a multi-billion-dollar organization
Oh,
really
yeah.
can be.
Because they're still owners. They're still
There's,
owners.
they're still owners. There's still money to be made, but they would be cracking the whip pretty hard if LeBron James was playing playing baseball for the Dodgers or the Angels.
Well, on that note about to wrap things up, because it's funny we bring up LeBron. I remember in the original reports, and you guys had talked about this, that there were rumors LeBron, Anthony Davis, Giannis, all the big names would sit out, because of the shortened, off season, the short amount of time to get ready, and they would use I guess they would use the load management argument.
Well, that's what I had said about the December 22nd start, and originally that's why they were trying to push it to MLK Day, because they were trying to stop, because 70 days after you finish the season and you're starting, that any athlete, that's going to take its toll.
Right. Although I would, like we said, like you and I were talking about, Nick, last week when it was just us on the split stream, if they had moved to MLK Day, I would have actually agreed with the owners on reducing it to a 50-game season, because, you got to wrap things up quickly. And, and plus we're talking about the ridiculousness, because I'm still a little skeptical about, playing what's essentially just 10 less games per team and a full playoff plus a possible play-in tournament in a shorter amount of time. To do that in mid-January, that would have been really ridiculous. And like I just said, I'm still a little skeptical about how they're going to fit all this in between December and July at latest.
What I was going to say is that there's no win-win situation in this regard, because the players have the reins, like we keep saying, and it's a broken record, as Nick would say, that the players have the control. But at the same time, TV contracts are TV contracts, right. So they have to play a certain amount of games.
I guarantee you Adam Silver is going to at least ask the players, like those guys, if you're going to do that, do it after Christmas. The opening day, the Christmas day, please play in those games.
And the players also, unfortunately, and this is going to be an unpopular opinion, the players could give two shits about the Olympics.
They really don't.
They don't, because they're not going to travel for COVID. They're not going to travel.
Okay, for COVID reasons, fair. I'm just going to say, but to say, you don't think LeBron or any of those guys would give shits about winning gold medals?
That LeBron is basically done with the Olympics. He did what he's already a decorated Olympian.
But let's say, and let's talk about the younger guys then, like Giannis and
I don't, because the reason, I just think because of COVID, that's really the big reason.
Okay,
and also,
but I'm saying without COVID, let's just say the Olympics were normal. You don't think they still would give really any care?
It depends. I mean, if a lot of the stars are not doing it anyway, because it takes a toll on the body. Then they have to go back and train again, get ready for the season. A lot of these guys who are making, and I guarantee you, a lot of these big name organizations are turning around and saying, hey, we can't have you playing in the Olympics. We're afraid you're going to get hurt. And then that's the end of your career. And then they lose all that money because the NBA's got hard clad on money. Okay. So they're not going to risk that.
All right. And just one last thing here, guys, just a little quick thing. So remember last week we talked about how Daryl Morey is now a part of the 76ers.
So much for wrestling.
Right. And we were talking about how, they have to build a team around, the guys like Simmons, the guys like Embiid. They need role players and guys, who can help actually be a benefit to this team to get them a playoff spot and then to survive in the playoffs. Well, there's a rumored name going around, guys. The first big name that they're going to pursue in free agency. James Harden.
Well,
James Harden that Morey.
Well, it wouldn't be free agency. It would be a trade. Okay, but because I think he just signed a large contract. Actually,
okay, but still, they're going to pursue James Harden in the offseason. So,
first of all, I'll tell you why it can't be done in the easy terms, and then we'll go over the hard terms. Okay. But the easy terms they can't do it is because they're going to have to trade one of those two guys away to get Harden. So they would probably have to trade Embiid to get Harden.
Also, I'll be honest, we were just talking about, Embiid and Joel Embiid and
Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons, thank you. I don't know why I blanked there for a second. But we were talking about how they were building around those guys. Harden, I don't think would, as much of a great player as he is an MVP. that then you're moving everything over to Harden. And I don't think building a team around James Harden is the right answer for Philadelphia.
Well, yeah, you've heard me say that forever, that James Harden is a 1B or a 1C maybe at best.
Right, but just even in a whole other sense, Embiid and Simmons are younger guys. You want the Philadelphia as a team, that basically the process didn't work last time. They blew it up, and now they got to reprocess. The
process went out the window with Brent Brown.
Correct. No, but I'm just saying, for a team like Philadelphia, they need to think of the long-term success, not the short-term success.
And I just think it's funny that they would even look at a guy like James Harden, considering that they just brought in Doc Rivers to be the head coach of the Sixers.
That too.
Doc Rivers is so old-fashioned, traditional head coach. And James Harden, who is I'm a ball hog, right. I don't pass
then
anybody.
You know what? Because of the Rivers situation, then what I just said about them needing long-term success, is the opposite going on in Philadelphia? You think they're trying for an explosion quick?
They can't, because they haven't done anything, and they're pretty much invested.
No, I agree with you. I'm just saying, is that what's going on in Philadelphia? The opposite?
I would hope not. I mean, I don't know what they're doing over there at this point. I think they're kind of confused at this point. I mean, their owner was trying to buy the Mets at one point. We saw that rumor for the longest time. What is that? Josh, whatever his name is, Josh Luton or whatever his name was. I can't remember. But
God, it might have been a decade ago. I don't know. What is time anymore?
But the guy, I don't know. Do I think Doc Rivers is a really good coach? I think he got ran out of the Clippers, and it wasn't even his fault, to be quite honest. I think that Paul George and Kawhi are two of the biggest egos. Even though Kawhi is a quiet ego, he is the biggest ego when it comes to handling a team. So I think Doc Rivers, believe it or not, will have a better time in Philadelphia than he will in the Clippers, because he can actually control the situation in Philadelphia and say, hey, look, Hey, Embiid. Hey, Simmons. You're overreacting and not handling it. Chop, chop. Wake up.
We were just saying that they needed a fire under them, and that Doc Rivers could be that fire.
He's not going to take shit from either of them. I'll tell you that right now.
Like I said, they need to think of the long-term future, and I thought Doc Rivers and a decision to build around Simmons and Embiid would be the start.
Right.
Again, this Harden move, this is going to be counterproductive. As good of a player Harden is, it's going to be counterproductive for the team.
It basically, James Harden reminds me of Miguel Cabrera. Miguel Cabrera was supposed to be that big star when he was with the Marlins. Then he moved on to the Tigers, and it didn't work out. And basically, Miguel Cabrera has come to the equation that I make a lot of money. I'm never really going to win. And that's it. And James Harden, I think, is unfortunately come to that role too.
He's on that path.
He signed his massive contract. He's going to make his hundreds of millions of dollars, but he's never going to win because he's a ball hog and he can't lead a team.
I don't know. I would say those are the reasons that he's not going to win, but it's proven that he can't win in the postseason.
And especially, we've said this before, in the NBA, you need a 1, 2, and most likely a 3. He right now is a 1, and this is unpopular too, but I don't care. Russell Westbrook is a terrible 2 player.
Meanwhile, in Philadelphia, I think you have a 1 and a 2, or maybe more 2 2s.
You have 2 2As.
I would say, but you can win with 2 2As if you have a solid, role players. Like we had mentioned last week, the Lakers proved me wrong. I didn't think all those guys on the bench and behind Davis and James could be, solid, but they proved to be solid.
Well, you had a guy like JaVale McGee, who was on the Warriors, who was a solid veteran, really was the leadership of that team. And believe it or not, you're going to laugh when I say this, Dwight Howard actually helped that team.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's funny, and I know it's laughable, but it's true. His veteran presence actually helped that team go. And
he finally won a ring.
And I think he, believe it or not, kept the team motivated, which is funny, but it's true.
Yeah.
He looked like his old Superman self, basically.
Don't get used to it, but yeah, he did win a ring.
All right. So that's going to do it for this edition. Everyone go enjoy your football. For Nick Morgasen, Nick Fodera.
If you missed part 1, make sure you go check it out also.
On ETB, facebook.com/ETB Sports. Till next time, guys. Have a good day.
Good night, everybody!
Have a good day.